One of the best ways to evaluate a college is by looking at its strengths. Here are some of the strengths of Ashland's business department.
We've worked very hard to differentiate ourselves using a methodology of identifying our stakeholders and seeing what our stakeholders' needs are. We started about 7 years ago to do rather extensive surveys with employers as well as students and some parents to find out exactly what the perception was of the needs of our students.
Ashland University's strengths include having wonderful professors who really know the material, which already have had real-world experience, which they can bring into the classroom and really help the students learn.
I have enjoyed the College of Business and Economics throughout my career, not only for its opportunities in technology, but also the professors and students that I've gotten to meet throughout my career.
We've also identified that experiential learning carries much more weight with most students than just reading things out of a book. We've worked very hard to make sure that we progressively introduce students to the experience of business.
Okay, some of the strengths that I've seen in the past 4 years with Ashland University's College of Business Education has been the experiential learning. In the classroom and outside the classroom with different groups like AMA, SIFE, the Eagle Investors. It's kind of nice to get your skills that you learn in your class and from your books and the professors and put it into a real world perspective.
The strengths of AU's Kobe are definitely the technology over there is wonderful, and professors. In particularly, one professor I had, he was a salesman. He was teaching a sales course. He just brought a lot of knowledge from the field to the classroom. And I think it's very important.
First of all, we try to teach the theoretical framework, the practical experiences, and then also try to instill in them the need for ethical behavior, because success is important. Without ethics, it is not that important. So therefore, we try to now help them by way of just approaching all of these successful strategies only with the ethical background. And therefore, this student who will become a real professional one day will operate within the accepted framework.
The student-to-faculty ratio is unreal. It's 16 to 1. And the technology that we have here at Ashland is unmatched by any other university.
Some other strengths I've seen are the faculty, especially in the marketing department. I've earned some great relationships with some of my faculty, professors, and I think that's one of the key elements that you need when you go out into the real world after graduation. After my internship, which I'll talk about later, I learned how to make those relationships and feel comfortable in those kind of settings. And I think that was probably one of the best parts about the Ashland University College of Business.
Today, real-world experience is considered to be one of the most necessary components of college education. Here's how Ashland embraced this philosophy.
At Ashland, there are principally two ways that I see that a student can get practical experience. One is the classic internship, where you are placed with an organization. Now, the thing about an internship is they're all extremely varied, very custom. Even two students working in the same company would have different experiences in their internships. A second way at Ashland to get experiential learning or practical experience is by working on a project in a class with a real company, where students as a group are assigned a company where they go in and try to address a real business problem. So the opportunities are they're varied, they are very interesting, and they provide that business experience which will, as I said before, differentiate the student when they enter the marketplace.
I think many of the classes now offer students the ability to do a hands-on project. They could be doing that through an internship program that they perhaps did in the summer. We also have the Small Business Institute here on campus that allows students to work with them and try to help a small business.
Real-world experience tries to teach you more or less making the fundamental connections between the theoretical framework and practical experience. But that experience then builds more or less an additional thirst for more knowledge, and therefore this student who has now become more or less an employee now will become a real professional. Real professional means, in that sense, constant updating of the knowledge, and therefore not remaining complacent, because tomorrow is not ours until we claim it.
What we help train our students here at Ashland University is to understand what employers are looking for in terms of the real world experience. So we prepare our students to understand what our employer is looking for, and that is basically to add value immediately to the employer. Our employer does not want to go through a 6-month, a year and a half, 2-year training period to help explain what the business is all about. So we train and educate our students to understand the challenges that they're facing, the changes that they need to make, and it's all about helping our students understand that the real world business has to make decisions, has to take risk, and has to make change.
An internship is one way to gain real-world experience, but what is an internship, and what are the advantages to doing one?
An internship is, the way I look at it principally, it's a way for a student to bridge the gap between a purely academic environment that you get in college and what everyone calls the real world. Unfortunately, that gap's always going to exist. Business schools, as good as they are, will always differ slightly from business, principally because every business is different and we can't cover every different variation. So by taking an internship, the student is given the opportunity to see how what they've learned in the classroom differs in some ways, and somehow oftentimes what is reinforced by what they're learning in the classroom in the real world.
I think the benefits of doing an internship will really allow the student to decide on whether or not they've chosen the right major for them. I also think that it gives them the real-world experience that they can apply the theories that they've learned in a classroom setting. And also an internship will probably allow a student to, it will set them apart during their interview process, during their senior year, and will show that the person that they are interviewing with, the potential employer, that they have really taken the time to try to gain this experience that will help them if they get hired by that company.
Student internships are absolutely a vital need for each and every student. Otherwise, what will happen is most of the students will focus on the printed material and therefore do not gather anything from the practical world. Once they get exposed, then they actually learn to swim. They see that is where a particular theoretical framework gets amended or modified, because this is a particular technology has been updated. In each and every industry, the technology has gone through a massive change. If we miss even one day's learning experience, probably we do not fit very well.
Internships is the bridge, if you will, that goes from being in school, looking at the content, practicing it on paper, and then being able to perform. We have found in speaking with employers, the first thing they ask when they walk in the door to recruit is, has the student had an internship or not? We think that's very important. Ultimately, what we're trying to do is to get all of our students to either have work experience when they come in or have experienced an internship when they go out.